I have a question about my petition. I'm a student on an F1 visa.
Right.
So my wife has a green card. I got married like 2 years ago.
Great.
So she filed I-130 for me, and then the priority date is April 8, 2019.
Okay. Are you approved?
No, it's in pending.
Are you still in student status?
Yes.
Okay. Then if you're in student status, it's pending I-130. The priority date is current. You should file your adjustment immediately while you can, and do it now before the laws change, because right now there's an injunction on what President Trump wants to do with the affidavits of support.
Okay, so could I file at the same time like I-485 and
Yes,
I-36?
that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying for you to do right now.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that's what my question was. Like I was researching everywhere and I didn't get the answer. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I really appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
I actually put in my renewal of my EAD card since January 29th, and I never heard anything from them until this month on the 5th, saying it has been received and they are reviewing it from the National Center. So I just want to know, how long do I need to wait?
All right, let me understand this correctly. You filed for
Say it again.
I just want to understand what you're saying to me correctly. You filed for a work permit renewal. It took them 10 months to send you back a receipt notice that it was received, and you want to know how long it will take. I don't. You effed up somewhere, or immigration effed up somewhere. I don't know where, but I never heard of filing something and getting a receipt notice 10 months later. So you're asking me how much longer? I don't know. Only the magic 8 ball knows. But I do know that something totally in legal parlance is messed up. I don't know why you would file for a work permit and get a receipt notice saying they finally received your application 10 months after the fact.
I have another question for you.
Okay.
When you put
so far,
in,
I can't help you because I don't know what you did wrong. Okay, go ahead.
So I just want to know if you are putting in the renewal of your EAD card, which I've already gotten one, a combo one before expire on May. So I'm asking now, how long do you know that it's the processing time for the renewal?
It's 6 months.
Of the other one.
6 months.
6 months, but now it's almost 10 months.
But you just told me they just received it 10 months after the fact. So either the mail is really screwed up, you screwed up, or immigration screwed up. I have no idea.
I received mail. They say they are verifying my fingerprints and they are working on it.
Oh, Lou, listen to me, okay? Listen to the words coming out of my mouth. You filed for a work permit renewal in January. January goes by, February goes by, March goes by, April goes by, May goes by, June, July, August. I'm getting tired of saying these months. September, October, 10 months later, finally immigration sends you a letter saying we received your application. That's messed up. Something's wrong. And you're asking me to figure out through telepathy why it took them 10 months to send it to you. All I can tell you is you messed up, immigration messed up, the mail messed up. I don't know the answer. But we can figure it out. But I don't know. I can't tell you right now how long it'll be till you get your work permit. It's impossible.
Okay, thank you.
All right. He's not happy with my answer.
No, he is not.
I am terribly sorry. But if you go to file for your work permit or your work permit renewal and you don't get a receipt in 2, 3, 4 weeks, then something's messed up. That's the time. His time to have called me was January, not 10 months after the fact.
Right, exactly.
All right. Let's go to Cindy in Cincinnati. Cindy.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Hi, Brad.
What's going on?
I'm your squad. Good day, Brad. Yeah, I have a question for you, Immigration Emperor.
Yeah.
I came into the U.S. 5 years ago, precisely, with a Form I-130. I got my 10 years already.
Right.
Well, unfortunately, my husband of almost 23 years, he walks away. So now I'm trying to file for my citizenship by myself. But the only problem, my scare there is he got married some time ago. So I don't know if it's going to affect my
All right, so
interview.
let me just get the timeline. Okay, when did you marry? Let's just answer questions quickly. When did you marry your husband? What year?
23 years ago.
23 years ago. When did you get your green card?
Sir.
When did you get your green card?
I got my green card. I came into U.S. 5 years ago because there were
5 years
lots
ago.
of...
Fine. So you got your 10-year card, and now your husband has divorced you and moved on to somebody else.
No, we've not even divorced.
You're not even divorced. Well, all right. The law doesn't say you have to stay in an unhappy marriage. Okay? You were married for 23 years. When you came to America, I presume it was a bona fide marriage. You got here and things didn't work out. You're perfect. Yeah. It's perfectly okay that you're no longer with your husband. It's perfectly okay to go into immigration and say you're not with your husband. You've separated. You've been a permanent resident for 5 years. You lawfully got your green card. You're totally eligible for citizenship. Don't lose 1 minute of sleep over it.
Okay, because already I put in
you're fine. As long as you have good moral character for 5 years, you've never lied to the government, you pay your taxes, you know how to read, write, and speak English, you'll be fine.
So it's not going to matter now that he got married, even though we are not divorced. That is my scare.
Okay, he's a bigamist. You're not responsible for him breaking the law.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you, Brad.
You're welcome.
That is the emperor himself. Thanks for your good work.
The emperor himself.
I went to my interview in May of this year, but in August I received a notice from them saying it's the advanced parole because my case is still under review. Would you advise me to travel on a advanced parole?
Absolutely. It's perfectly safe to travel. Advanced parole has been around for decades and decades and decades. In my career of 25 plus years, I have never seen anybody who traveled for a short period of time, don't stay out of the country for a year, but traveled for a short period of time with a pending case for adjustment of status, who traveled and returned while their case was still pending, and everyone's allowed back in. That's the law. Okay, so as long as you don't stay out for months at a time, you can go for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 10 days, a week, perfectly safe. You return, you have a pending case, as long as you obviously you don't have a criminal record or anything like that.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you.
Enjoy your trip.
I have my green card since '95.
Right.
And I've been arrested in 2004 for trying to buy stolen property. And it reduced to misdemeanor, trespassing, land and cultivation. The code was 602.
Where did this happen?
In California.
Okay, so you were arrested for receipt of stolen property. It was reduced to a misdemeanor. I don't know the California Penal Code off the top of my head. I assume you didn't go to jail or anything, or you spent very little time in jail?
It was 3 years probation, and I paid the fine $1,000 and community service.
Okay, and now your question is what?
The misdemeanor, it was the trespassing, land and cultivation.
Okay.
My question is, my green card expired since 2005. And I was afraid to renew it. So is this considered like an aggravated felon? Or?
It doesn't sound like an aggravated felony to me. Generally, with theft offenses, aggravated felonies would fall into one of two categories for theft offenses. Some sort of theft offense that you went to jail for more than a year, or sometimes theft offenses are fraud offenses where the loss to the victim is in excess of $10,000. If there's no fraud involved here and there's no loss to a victim of more than $10,000, then it wouldn't be an aggravated felony under fraud. If you didn't spend a year in jail, which you didn't, you had 3 years probation, it wouldn't be an aggravated felony under the theft offenses for aggravated felony. It sounds to me, because again, I don't know the California Penal Code off the top of my head, but it sounds to me that it is a crime of moral turpitude that happened more than 5 years after you entered America and had a green card. You're allowed one crime of moral turpitude as long as it happened more than 5 years after your entry, and you've had a green card for more than 5 years. That in of itself is not a deportable offense, and presumably you would be able to renew your green card. Now, let me finish. Being deportable or removable does not mean you're inadmissible. If you were to travel with that green card and come back, it's very likely that they could put you in removal proceedings and find you inadmissible. So the laws are different for removal versus for traveling back into the United States. With all that being said, my only concern is I would want to read the California Penal Code for that particular section of law that you were found guilty of to make sure there's no fraud elements.
Yeah, it's so for being expired for 14 years, is going to be any problem to renew it?
I just said if it's a crime of moral turpitude, it happened more than 5 years after you entered America with your green card, you're not deportable. You wouldn't be able to travel. It's a crime of moral turpitude. My concern is there a fraud element involved? I don't know that answer. You may want to have a consultation. But based on what you're telling me, you seem to be okay. I can't give you my 100% stamp of approval until I read the California Penal Code to confirm what I'm saying. Hold on.
I'm a really good kid, but I have 2 felonies, right?
Okay.
I've been in the States almost my whole life. I was born in Egypt,
Let's take a step back. When did you get your green card?
I got my green card in '08 because it expired in 2018. So.
Okay, so how old are you?
I am 26.
So when you got your green card in '08, you were about 15 years old, correct?
Around that makes sense.
And how did you get your green card when you were 15?
Well, my dad came here on a work visa and eventually became a professor in the States.
Okay.
So through some sort of visa from my dad.
And even though you got your green card when you were 15, you entered the United States on a visa to accompany your dad. How old were you?
It was twice. It was in the 90s when I was like 2 or 3, and then again in 2004.
Okay, so you came finally for a full time in 2004 from Egypt. You were at that time, I guess, 12 or 13. You got your green card when you were 15, 16, 2008.
Yeah, I was like 11.
Okay, got it. Now tell me about your felonies.
All right, so I have a F5 drug trafficking and a corrupting another with drugs.
All right, drug trafficking is completely an aggravated felony. We don't even have to get into the second one. If it happened and you were treated as an adult, it was not treated as a juvenile delinquency, you're an aggravated felon. You're gonna get deported every time on that conviction. That's a big problem that you have.
Gotcha.
Okay, what I would suggest, 1 second, because of your situation, and we have lots of people watching, I wouldn't want to talk anymore about it. I would have a consultation, a private one-on-one consultation. Hold on 1 second.
Can you file for tax if you don't have a work permit or Social Security?
Yeah, you can. You file a tax return. You attach a W-7 to your tax return, request a tax identification number, and you file your taxes.
Oh, okay. I mean, when I'm filing for my citizenship, for my green card, I can actually file for tax, joint tax without...
Yes. So in other words, one of the things you have to do, okay, I think I got your question. You're here out of status. You're married to a U.S. citizen. You want to file your adjustment of status. Part of filing an adjustment of status application is you have to show that you have a financial relationship with your spouse. I say that all the time. One of the ways to prove a financial relationship with your spouse is that you have a joint tax return. So you have to file joint tax returns for every year in which you've been married. So if you got married in 2019, you need to file a joint tax return in 2020 for 2019. If you got married in 2018, you got to file a joint tax return in 2019 with your spouse for 2018. Now, it's possible that you got married in 2018 and your spouse had a household or married filing separately, but didn't file a joint tax return with you because you didn't have a Social Security number. What you would need to do at that point would be to amend the tax return to a joint filing. You attach what's called a W-7 form to your joint tax return requesting a tax ID number. At the same time, you're going to want to file your adjustment and get your work permit. And what's going to happen is at some point in a few months, the IRS and even the state's going to write you a letter saying, we accepted your taxes, but what's your Social Security number? And hopefully at that point, you will have received your work permit, you got your Social Security number, and you would be able to respond to those letters. I've now told you everything I know about taxes. Hold on 1 second, okay?
In 2017, I got married like February 2017, and then in December of 2017, me and my wife got into an argument because I was supposed to go to a concert with one of my friends, but she thought I was going with a female, and she pushed me down a staircase, but I didn't fall. So my reflex grabbed her to break my fall because I was going down the staircase.
I don't need to know every last detail. You got arrested from all of this?
Yeah, for a week.
So you got arrested for what?
Well, I won my case.
What would you get arrested for? Just answer the question. You got arrested for what?
Domestic violence, strangulation.
Okay, fine. And now, what was the end? You say you won your case. What does I won my case mean to you?
she told them that she got upset.
You're not answering my question. You said to me, I got arrested for domestic violence and strangulation. I guess they allege that you put your arm around her neck. Okay?
Yes.
No matter what, I don't care what happened. I mean, I care what happened, but for purposes of immigration, it doesn't matter. The only things I need to know to give you immigration advice is what were you arrested for and what was the outcome. The actual facts of what happened are, for our purposes, irrelevant. It's relevant, obviously, for the criminal case, may be relevant for your relationship with your spouse, it may be relevant for future relationships that you may have. It may be juicy for people to hear, Brad Squad to hear what happened, but my job right now is to help you as best as I can, give you the best advice I can give you. So the best advice I can give you is I only need 2 bits of information. One is, what were you arrested for? What was the outcome? We know you're arrested for strangulation, domestic violence. You said you won the case. And my question to you is, what does I won the case mean?
Well, she dropped she told them that
she didn't want to press charges. She didn't want to press charges. And what happened?
The state picked it up.
They dismissed the charges against you?
Well, I go to court and they didn't have enough evidence to penalize me for it, so they dismissed the case.
All right, so good. All right. So you were arrested for domestic violence and strangulation. Your wife didn't proceed as a witness. They had no evidence otherwise. They dropped the charges.
Yes.
Your question now is what?
So I did my interview in June for my green card.
Right.
And they sent back that they need evidence of my case, why it was dismissed, why it was dismissed. So I sent it to them, like all evidence and letter from the judge and my attorney, my public defender and everything to them. So how long do you think before I get a response from them?
Well, this is what the law says, okay? Based on what you told me, you're entitled to get your green card. This is through your spouse. I assume everything's good between the two of you now. Hopefully you never run into this situation again. I always hate to hear domestic violence cases. It makes me upset when I hear these things. But I'm glad that you and your spouse are together. I'm glad that things are working out. She filed for you.
Thank you.
You're eligible for your green card. Based on what you told me, you should get it. After you submit all the documentation, by law, the government has 120 days to make a decision. So this was July, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you got July, August, September, October. By early November, they have to give you a decision. It's more than 120 days. At that point, you got 2 choices. You can sit on your thumbs and do nothing. You can contact immigration, which isn't going to do anything. You can contact your congressman or senator, it's not going to do anything. So it's basically wait for them to violate your rights indefinitely until they decide to make a decision. Or you file what's called the mandamus, which is you sue the government and force them to do their job, which is make a decision in 120 days. That's what the law says.
Okay.
Those are your choices.
Thank you.
All right, but you're entitled to a green card based on what you told me.
I have a few questions.
Yes.
I got married 2016, and this is the 3rd time I've applied for my EED. And the last one I applied for, I applied with a parole, and I've been approved, and I got the plastic. So I've been to the interview 3 times. So the 2 times I've been to
you applied through marriage, and you've been to 3 interviews already?
Yes, sir.
What happened on the last interview? Let's skip to the 3rd one. What happened?
Oh, the last interview, we were separated. So I went in first. Then the officer that interviewed me, he brought out my previous divorce papers, document I provided, and he told me that the documents are fake. Then I asked him a question. I said, these are government documents from my country, and this was being provided not from me, my previous marriage. My wife was the one that did the divorce.
All right, so
we're not together no more.
So this is the story, okay? Where are you, from Africa?
Yes, sir.
Where in Africa?
Nigeria.
Okay. First of all, Nigeria is not one of Donald Trump's favorite countries. Number 2, I've seen this a lot with African countries where immigration claims the documents you're submitting are false or fake, and they're saying that you were either never married or you're never divorced and you're in a bigamous marriage. I've seen all of that happen multiple times, and then they kind of combine it with you're submitting fake documents and we don't even believe this marriage is real, which is why you have been going on and on and on indefinitely. I think at some point, assuming that these documents that you're submitting are real, honest, honorable, real documents of a marriage, a divorce, a marriage. You passed your Stokes interview. It's not a mandamus that you're going to file against the government. You're going to file what's called an APA claim, which is an Administrative Procedures Act claim that they're violating their own procedures. You've submitted real documents. You've submitted real marriage, real divorce, a real marriage. You got interviewed, proved that there was a real marriage, and now you're asking a federal judge to tell the government to give you a green card. And then we obviously argue it out in court, and then the federal government has to come and give us evidence. They just can't. When you go for an interview at immigration, they could say your documents are fake, go screw yourself. In federal court, they have to say, you know what? Here's the evidence that these documents are fake. Other than that, if they don't have evidence that the documents are fake, they have to accept them as real. Okay, so that's what needs to happen now. I've seen this happen many, many times. You're going to keep getting screwed. You're going to keep getting your rights violated, and I think that's what needs to happen. So hold on one second.
I had a question. I just moved from Maryland, D.C., and I was married there, and I got divorced. I have 2 kids with my wife, and I recently moved back to Virginia and got married again. And my wife is active duty military, and we just got married, and we have a 3-month-old baby.
Great.
So I was wondering, she filed for my naturalization with USCIS recently, but I was just trying to find out, do I fall in the category of trying to expedite it, because I'm already being charged for child support in Maryland, which I'm already in deficit and I'm not even a citizen yet. So I was just wondering, that's my question. And is there any, as far as, privilege given to, military?
The privilege you get for marrying someone in the military is a lower requirement for affidavits of support. But if you owe child support, you got to be paid in full, or they're going to say you're a person of bad moral character. I think those were 2 different questions.
Okay, but how would one pay that, though, without being able to work? If you're not legal yet.
That's the absurdity of it all. Even though you're not legal to work, you're expected to work anyway, and you're expected to support your child. And if you don't, they're going to say bad moral character. And, that's the absurdity of it all, but that's what you need to do. Go get a job and pay the child support. All right? Because other than that, you may very well be denied.
Go break the law. And
I'm not here to debate the law with you. I'm not here to debate the law with you. I'm telling you what it is. So, that's what it is. There's lots of people out of status who seem to be able to support their children. That's what the government's going to say. Hold on.
Now, I got arrested with a possession of a small, 0.5 marijuana blunt. I just did to win my green card. So I wanted to find out if that will affect me because the charge was dismissed.
As long as it was dismissed, it won't affect you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to know, how long would it take green card holder to file for their unmarried daughter over 21?
About 7 years.
7 years, okay. It's 3 questions. All right. The other one is...
Oh, there's more.
How long can I stay on a B1, B2 visa
6
while
months.
in a pending petition?
6 months.
Yeah, that's what But I would like to know, if I can stay at least for 3 months at a time, 3 months at a time.
You're asking, okay, this is the story with B1, B2 visas. B1, B2 visa is to visit. So if you're trying to figure out how I can use a B1, B2 visa to come live here, you're going to get screwed in the end. You got to be in the United States less on a B1, B2 visa than elsewhere. So there's no specific rule. I can come for 3 months and I can come for 2 months. You have to be in another country more than somewhere else. Because if you're here more than somewhere else, then you're living here on a tourist visa, which you can't do, which is impermissible. So I think what you need to do now is, if you're in legal status, let's figure out a different visa to keep you here on if that's what you want to do. So hold on 1 second.
My dad is citizen, and he filed an I-130 for me in 2014, and I-130 is approved. So now I'm wondering if I can file any adjustment of status.
What's your status right now?
I'm visiting right now.
Okay, and you said your dad filed for you when?
On 2014.
When?
June 2014, and the priority date is
July 8th.
May 2014.
Okay, and how long have you been here on a visitor's visa?
No, just 2 months.
Okay, so if you wait 1 more month in legal status, because you can't file an adjustment for your first 90 days, that's fraud. You wait more than 90 days, your priority date is current, then the answer is yes, you can file an adjustment. But you got to wait the 90 days, minimum.
So after 90 days, I can file an
Correct.
adjustment of status?
Yes, as long as you're in legal status. Priority dates are current, but you got to wait minimum of 90 days.
Okay, but with the adjustment of status, will I be able to work or get a permit?
You would get a work permit. You get a travel document. Sounds like you need a good lawyer. So hold on. But the answer to your question is yes. Hold on.
We got a baby after I received an approval for my I-130 application. Now I want to know how and when do I have to notify NVC about my child?
You do it now. You write them with your case number and a copy of the birth certificate and ask them to include the child on your case.
My second question is, if I become citizen before the visa application, our child is not going to lose his derivative status?
No, the child would, so you would have to file a separate I-130 for the child now, so that way they can come with the mother.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for watching. For more Bradshaw Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.